with live fruit. I'm getting all my stuff kind of set up. We weren't sure if we were going to get to go live today because who we are chatting with, Genevieve, has had there's like some power outages stuff. She'll explain it when she gets on. And hold on. I'm going to see if I can get her in. Just one second, everybody. It's coming. Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to get to chat with her today because there's all sorts of we had this a couple of months ago. Hey!
Hi, it worked!
It worked!
I should probably move my phone back. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Just take all the time you need. I'm adjusting too, making sure we're all getting ready here.
Okay.
All right, you're here.
Hi!
And you've got your coffee or tea. What are you drinking this morning?
Coffee.
Awesome.
Do my cup of coffee still.
So basically they roll the power outages so that there's less fire hazard. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so we're due to have a really high windstorm come in, which 2 years ago, that's what knocked down all the lines, which sparked the fires. And so preventatively, they're going to cut power, and they've cut it in, they're rolling in different areas to cut it early. So if the wind lines do get blown down, we won't have the massive fires that we did 2 years ago.
Got it.
But we'll see.
So I guess it was last month is when we had a fire really close to our house, and they were talking about doing stuff like that just to, make sure. And they were doing, it's crazy and it's so scary. And it was I remember it. I remember a couple years ago, you and I remember telling my family, oh my gosh, they nearly lost their entire, it was just around your area, right?
It was really, it was a little crazy. It was 2 years ago. And what's funny is yesterday morning, before there were any alerts, we didn't know there was a storm due to come in. I was talking to another friend. We were like, it was 2 years ago today that we were evacuated. We thought we'd lost everything, 2.5 weeks without power. And we're like, crazy. It's been 2 years. And then it was an hour later. It's my business partner in the thrifting business. We were driving together, and she was like, oh my goodness, did you just get that alert? And I was like, I did. What are the odds? 2 years exactly. But it's all good. This is part of the homesteading country life. And this was, when I called my husband, because we both got the alert, we're like, well, this is what we do. We're already prepared with, X, Y, and Z. We're good to go. We have our plan if we need to. We're good. So it is. It's good. It's what it is.
And you're right. It is part of being a little out of the city, because when you're surrounded in dry, grassy area we have in Texas, you just have to be prepared. And we have things in place, bags and goodies and valuables kind of all ready to go in case something did happen. And so, it's a weird reality, but to me, it's totally worth it on the other days where you're not.
Exactly. And, I've got my little I have solar charged lights. They're like the ones you sent in the box. What was that, 3 years ago? And I still have mine hanging in the garden from you. And I got the idea. I was like, I should make night lights for the kids for when we do lose power. So they're all lined up on our deck charging, thanks to yours that you sent a few years ago. I now have our little night lights charging for tonight for the kids.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I know you kind of built, I remember though back, I don't even know how long you and I have been chatting. And you guys, we have never actually met in person. We're only good friends through Instagram. And I'm telling you, some of the best relationships you can just really nurture for people you've never actually been. Now there is plans. If one day I'm going to be up in that area and come and see her place.
You're going to come see, and we'll meet in person, because we started talking while I still lived in Texas, which was 3.5 years. We moved 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been at least 4.5, 5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And a long time.
It is. I know. And you were kind of selling makeup or lip stuff or something back then. Are you still doing that? Or okay?
So I still do. I'm not actively selling or growing a team, but I still, I still have my customers that come back, and so I still do it.
Yeah.
I don't wear any makeup anymore.
I know, it's very weird. If I have on makeup, my kids are like, "What's happening today? Are you you actually have earrings on? What's going on? Are you doing something?"
Yep. I put on mascara, and all the kids were like, "Where are we going? What's happening? Where are you going?" It's like, nowhere, guys. It's just
I'll be outside. It's the social media world, as weird as that is, but it definitely is. But I remember you were selling makeup, and then you kind of did this shift, and you started, I think it was when you moved up north.
Yeah.
And then you started, so tell me, like, you guys went into just starting to do all of your own stuff. Was this something that you knew when you left Texas that you were kind of going into, or?
Well, so, I mean, we loved our time in Texas. We loved the community and our time in Texas, but we both knew that the city life was not how we wanted to raise our family. We had this just like this pull in our heart that there was something different that we were supposed to be doing. And our life has kind of done a complete 180, well, probably 360 and another 180. But we kind of just stumbled on this property. We felt drawn to it. We knew where we wanted it to be eventually, kind of what our long-term plan was. We didn't know how it would all play out. And we have just found a lot of joy creating this homestead now, creating our farm. We went from, because the property when we bought it, there was a lot of overgrown area. There was a lot of work that we've put into it to create pastures and create the garden space, create our orchard, all those things. But we love it. We really, really loved putting that time and energy into creating the space that we love and really we feel connected with. Yeah.
It's a lot of work up front, and people will regularly ask me, I want to do that. How do we do it? And I'm like, well, how much time do you have? That's my first question, is because it takes a lot on the front end, but then as things become their own, like, self-sustaining resources, and we practice a lot of permaculture, and so things kind of take care of themselves, then it becomes less and less. But at the beginning, it's basically a lot of passion, consistency, and blood, sweat, and tears to get it all going. Yeah. So what exactly do you have? So you have pigs and donkeys, and what else? Chickens?
No. So that's actually not a donkey you're hearing. That is our mama cow.
Okay.
She is just kind of on one today. So we have two cows. Well, we actually have three cows. Our one cow had her first calf this summer. So we have our two mama cows and a baby cow. And he is the cutest little thing ever. He's so fun to like watch. Just like, he prances like Bambi. He just runs around the pasture. We do have cooney pigs. We had our first litter of babies earlier this summer. So that's been a lot of fun for the kids. They're like little mini puppies that just want to be loved on, and our kids carry them around like babies. So, and then we have our bees, we have chickens, we have bunnies, and then the garden and orchard.
Yeah.
And our puppy that you hear barking.
Yeah, mine's usually right here, but yeah, it's a lot. But once they kind of come together, it just creates this really magical, just like, I don't know, this whole biome, and just
the way they all it all works together. You know, I, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but like the way that they work together to help feed each other and
Mm-hmm.
nourish the garden, which then, you know, in turn feeds them. Like it's just this like beautiful cycle of how nature really just all works together so beautifully when you let it do what it's supposed to do.
Yes, 100%. And we, that's kind of like what the box theme is about in a way, is creating this kind of realm and awareness of life that all works together. And when you do that, you're kind of rooted in your own way. Did you have a bee come up? I love it when
Yeah, sorry. We
no,
have
they,
a one wasp nest that we haven't been able to find. So, and they really like the deck and my coffee.
yeah, that's ours. They come and visit me all the time in the morning. And
Uh-huh.
but when you kind of create this whole system and this whole magical just like conglomerate of things the way that nature was supposed to be, and things are just allowed to be in a space without being, you know, pushed or prodded or chemicalized or anything like that, it really does create this magic. And I think that we as humans, you know, need to exist in places like that, but also to try to find things in our daily lives that we can kind of root to or be rooted to where we can kind of create that same feeling. And so I think it's awesome that you and I kind of teamed up for this box. And it's just, the title of it is really fun, being rooted, a life rooted. And it's kind of what you and I both, I mean, that's my theme pretty much all the time because of the name of my company and all that. But just that, but when you said, because when we were talking, I guess it was just a couple months ago, you said that's kind of been the theme of my year. So tell me a little bit about what you were trying to do there.
You know, I know at the beginning of the year, I'm always trying to like, oh, it's the start of the year. I should think of a word. And nothing really came to me this year. And it hit me a few months into the year. I'll probably get a little bit emotional, but as I sat back one day and I was watching the kids with, you know, the baby pigs, and we were prepping the garden, and we were then, you know, moving some of the fertilizer from the animals, you know, their poop over to the compost pile, and we were working all these different areas. I got emotional one day and I was like, this is our life. We are rooted and we are connected to this property, to our family, to this cycle, to nurturing this natural cycle of nature. And I was trying to help the kids see the natural cycle within their own lives, that like, you know, our the rhythm of our life, the what you choose to do, what we eat, the just the whole cycle of our life, whether we're living out in the country or we're living in a city. This is something that we try to do. We try to find nature. We try to connect with nature how we can. We try to respect nature and how it is. And we use nature to help heal us. And then we give back to nature to try and help heal, you know, heal it and nurture, you know, nature, and just that beautiful cycle that life is. And
Yeah.
so then when you reached out and you were like, this is the theme, I was like, oh my goodness. Like this is, I feel like the word rooted is popping up everywhere in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
That this has been, you know, what we want in life, what I want our kids to learn. And, you know, so I was like, okay, it's meant to be.
Yeah, no, and like you said, I love that. I love what you said about, you know, the rhythms of our lives create this rootedness in our existence. And when we can be rooted in our soul, then we extend that out into our self-care, then we extend it out into our family, and then our community, and then our world. So us kind of having that time to create this balance, this rhythm, this being rooted in our home, our life, then we can kind of go out and affect the world in, you know, very positive and loving ways. So
It's that ripple effect. It just
yeah.
keeps spiraling outward, but it all
Mm-hmm.
starts within. And that's where I've tried to teach the kids. It starts within you, and then you ripple outwards. It starts within me, and it ripples outward. And
Right.
that's, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, and so with this rooted, like, just the mentality and the awareness, that's when you and I started just talking about what could we do to be rooted at home. And so I know a big part of your kind of rootedness is making bread. And I said this yesterday on my stories that you're my sourdough goddess. And and we will be chatting, I guess, in a couple of weeks too about sourdough. We're going to figure it out, and we'll let y'all know what we do. And it's just so much fun to do that when you're working with your hands, when you're kneading and doughing. So when we do stuff with dough, it's like, it's so calming for the kids. It's calming for everybody. It's therapeutic. So tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about why you love it so much. I know that there's tons of reasons, but
there's so many reasons. I would say, like, with a lot of what you said, the process of making bread is so soothing and rooting for me. It's such a process, and that's where it really started, because I've made bread for years, but it wasn't something I did consistently in Texas, like, at all. I knew how, but it was hit or miss if I ever even made it, or it was only for a special meal or whatever. And there was so much transition craziness during, like, that first initial, when we first moved here. There was a lot going on, and this was something that I found a lot of joy in, and I started learning it. I started researching in it, and the process of making bread was very grounding for me. But then I saw, like, that ripple effect that we've talked about, this sitting down to dinner, or, sometimes we have it for breakfast, sometimes it's lunch, it's not always dinner, but that we always sit down to eat it together. And that time to sit and, shut out all the other outside distractions, that we could sit together as a family, and we'd ask questions and we'd chat, we'd catch up, and the kids would start laughing. I found a lot of joy in that time to sit and bake bread together. And so that's kind of, I would say, and now, for the most part, like, I still make it, but my girls make it just as much, if not more, than I do, because they find joy in it, and they really love making the bread, and they love the more, the full process of feeding that night, making it, then in the morning. And then they love sitting down and being able to say, hey, I made this. What do you guys think of my shape or the design? Or, so they find a lot of joy in that as well. And I love seeing that joy. I love seeing them grow and learn to make the bread, part of them, that they love it.
it is. It's like it's a calming activity, but it has so many meanings to it, because when you actually have put the work into doing something, I mean, cooking is that way for me in general. Assume, you do it with love, and you put everything into it, and then you're sending that love out as a nourishment and into your family. So I think it's really a beautiful thing, and I think that is one way that we can kind of be rooted in our home. And we're also getting, all of my box members are getting a tea towel from you as well, which I love them. And they're over at the other end of the office, but they're amazing.
I love mine on the kitchen counter. Sorry.
I've been doing pictures, and I'll keep doing pictures. But that is another thing, like having, a tea towel to use in the home that reminds you of just kind of being rooted and being grounded in your life, and taking the time to just do that. So I'm super excited about all of it. And I think
one of the things, real quick, that I love about the tea towel too, so it's white, and I had someone ask me once in the beginning, because I did aprons with it, I do the tea towels with it, and they were like, why? I think it might have been my mom. She was like, why are you doing white? That'll stain in the kitchen. And I was like, but that's what I want. The kitchen is the heart of the home, and every stain, every grease mark, every whatever that is there, I said, that's part of our kitchen. That's part of our home. That's part of the story. these are meant to be used and stained because that means that you're baking and you're doing there in the heart of the home. So
I love
that's,
that.
I mean, you look at some of ours and, you know, some of them are starting to look used. One I may or may not have almost burned. So some of them have like real stories to tell in my bread learning process.
Yes. Yes.
But that's something that we love is that it shows the stories. You're keeping the stories with you the more you learn and bake, and it's supposed to be used. They're supposed to look used.
I
So
love it. I love
yeah.
that. And it's true because, you know, our pots and pans and all sorts of, and we have towels like that. I love the potato sack towels because they'll dry fast. They can do all
Yep.
sorts, but they do show the wear and tear and all the hours and the sweat and the crying and the tears and the laughter of everything
Yeah.
in the kitchen. And it is true. The heart of the home is the kitchen. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we're predominantly at, is in the kitchen. So,
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to hear all the stories from everybody's adventures of how they're going to start it and get their sourdough. I had one girl reach out to me and she was just like, I can't believe that you're going to make me start doing sourdough, but I'm going to do it.
And it's not as hard as everybody thinks. I know you mentioned this yesterday. It's really not as hard as we have in our mind. It really is like message me. I will help answer any questions because I want everybody to feel confident and happy with their sourdough. I have learned a lot through trial and error, so I can help figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it's not intimidating as it looks. And once you kind of get the rhythm of it, just like anything else, you have to learn how to do it. And then once you learn, it just kind of becomes, you know, a rhythm.
Part of that rhythm of the kitchen.
Yeah. And I just think it's great. And I love all the things that you're doing up there in your homesteading. And I love looking at all your feed and seeing what's going on. And, you know, as you're a homeschooling mama, I have been, I'm not right now, but I totally get like all the fun chaos that occurs every single day. And it's a miracle that you're here doing the live with us.
Thank you for patience with our chaos.
Of course. It takes a village, and it takes a homestead and a farm and all this stuff. And so it's a lot. And I just thank you for hanging out with us for just a little bit. And I'm looking forward to a couple of weeks from now when we do our, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to figure it out. How we'll do some live.
Maybe we can have like some questions before.
Yeah, so that would be good.
Maybe if people have questions and I don't know, I can show how to feed. That seems to be one of the first questions is how to feed. They're like, how do I feed the beast?
Yeah, I had someone ask, they want to see you roll it and like put the herbs, even though you just did a little video that I posted on my stories. But
I'm happy to do any of it. Yeah.
So I think it'll be fun, and I'll be in my kitchen. We can do it together. We can all just but everyone needs to make sure that you're following Genevieve and make sure that you're on the alerts here and sign up for the box because you need this sourdough starter, and that's going to be, and it's 15% off until next week. So get on there and do it. And
everything you make and include is amazing. I'm so excited for your products.
Yes.
I love everything you make. You are you're just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You are amazing.
We're going to have a lot of new products in this box. We're going to have a cream deodorant, which I'm really excited about. If you haven't used cream deodorant, it's actually now my favorite. And it's a really good way to, people are like, I don't want to rub it on, but then that gives you a good chance to kind of feel around in that tissue and stuff, because that's one of the main places that breast cancer can start is in that armpit area. So it's a good thing to do. We're going to have a lip tint and a foot scrub. There's going to be all sorts of fun things.
Exciting.
So
that'll be
Uh-oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that happens. It starts to get echoey and then goes off, but it's amazing that we can even talk to each other. So it's kind of cool.
It really is amazing. Thank you so much for, including me in this and for doing this live. You're a beautiful soul. And I'm so grateful.
You too. And thank you for joining me. I hope everything goes well this weekend with all the outages and stuff. And we'll talk next week. And to everybody else, have a great, blessed Friday. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.